What's up, everybody? The Fresh Out team recently visited Idaho State Prison, and we were able to get some phenomenal footage behind the wall with inmates doing time, trying to change their lives. They have a podcast, they have a recording studio in there, and they also have some editing equipment that they're utilizing to create job skills that will help these people be employable in the future. We would like to help these gentlemen update their equipment so that they can further their career goals and their ambitions with recording, editing, and filming. Therefore, we're donating $500, and our goal is to raise $1,500 so that we can help provide new equipment. You can donate by clicking the link in the description and sending money to the PayPal so that we can help these people continue to pursue their goals and dreams. You know, people always asking us about rehabilitation. Well, this is one of the probably the most progressive rehabilitation programs I've seen behind bars that actually gives people an opportunity for positive change and to create self-value. Therefore, if you want to continue to support and help these people in Idaho State Prison pursue their dreams, donate and become part of the movement with Fresh Out, changing lives.
Gentlemen, can't thank you enough. Can't thank you enough for the opportunity to be here. Our guest today, I told you about him last month when I was here. The infamous, the OG himself, the godfather of podcasts, Mr. Big Herc, Marcus Timmons.
How you guys doing? It's a pleasure having us out here, man. Me and Big Ant. I said once I walked through R&D and got released, man, in 2008, I didn't want to ever see another prison, man. I didn't want to ever, go behind those walls. But, to be able to come back and share what I learned and how I was able to turn my experience into a successful platform, I think is golden. So, and to see what you guys are doing here, which I didn't have any of these resources. You guys are kind of ahead of the curve. And if you can start putting that together now, the transition would be a lot easier. And it's just, it's almost surreal, man, because, I still have dreams, man. I wake up, oh shit, how'd I get here? And I'm actually on the street in my bed in my house. But, I started Fresh Out with Anthony. 2013. I got out in 2008, I met Anthony in 2008, or right 2009, early 2009, in at the gym, LA Fitness Universal. And a little background on myself. Grew up in Sacramento, the Bay Area, lived all over California. Um, Mom had me really young, 14, never knew my dad, but was a straight A student. My mom really stressed education. I was excelled in school, did well, BMX skateboarded, stayed out of trouble, played Little League and all that stuff. Eventually moving back to an environment which I was exposed to a lot of things and, no male role model, kind of got into some shit, and it started off, you have a gateway situation that leads to that road. And, first it's like, wanting to be cool, have, new clothes, new shoes. So, stealing shoes and get away with that, and you're like, okay, let me up the ante. Let me go in here and steal some clothes. Let me do this. And it's not stuff is wrong, but you still make bad choices because nobody else in my family was involved in crime. My mom worked, 2 jobs. I had a brother and sister I helped take care of. So she was really working hard, but I just made some bad choices. And eventually that led to me wanting to be in the next element, which in my era was, being a D-boy, selling dope. So, got involved in that, started selling crack, 15, ended up getting in trouble, going to juvenile hall. Juvenile hall is that's just the incubator for the pen. Everybody in there was selling dope. You got guys in there making on a weekend 15, 16, 17, $3,000, $4,000 coming back bragging and stuff. Everybody's flossing. So it didn't really do anything to curb my mentality. I didn't have any guidance. It was just a place to hang out. Juvenile hall, boys ranch, left there, ended up, my mom got married, moved to Southern California, Huntington Beach, culture shock, all white school, 3 black kids, but I'm really the only black kid there, surfing son. It was just, I didn't know how to fit in. I was like, man, I want to go back to the hood. I was, caught up in that mindset, and you're young. And I didn't know at that time when I didn't have any, my mom didn't really know how to, as a man, at a certain point, you have to have a male. That's why it's so important if you have kids to be there for them, because you need that. You need that strong hand, that discipline. So, I had a stepdad, but he couldn't really, he was cool, but it wasn't like he really gave me any guidance. So graduate, stayed out of trouble, went back to SAC, got back into stuff, gang banging, getting shot at, fighting with dudes, doing stupid stuff, caught a home invasion, on some, and I was going to college at the time, but still making bad choices. Did 2 years, 8 months in California Youth Authority and fire camp from 18 to 21. Got out of there, okay? While I'm in there, I'm like working out, maybe I'll be a bodybuilder, maybe I get into entertainment. I ended up getting out of CYA, moving back to Southern California to stay out of trouble, and got involved in adult entertainment. So I was in the adult entertainment industry. I'm thinking, oh man, I'm gonna make a bunch of money, kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, catch up on what missed with all the women. And I learned that game was a joke, so I did that for a little while. Then got involved in selling, that's when I got involved in selling natural gas, limited partnerships, got a Series 23. But then when I went to take my Series 7, I'm an ex-felon. Mm-hmm. I can't get that license. So that job dies out. I'm like, okay, I go back to college, working on my AA, move back to Northern California. I'm doing all right, but then my homeboy got the hookup with Humboldt, the weed. So then I can make some money going back to SAC, running weed from the Bay Area to SAC. So I ended up doing that. Money got good. I left college, 6 credits from getting my AA. Got back into that. From that, getting into other stuff, just a lot of street stuff. And so that mentality was still there. And eventually I moved from SAC back to LA, got back into adult entertainment, and ended up, hooking up some dudes in adult entertainment. And then eventually, the bank robbery came into play. I ended up getting caught up with some dudes, did an armed bank robbery, hostile takeover, high-speed chase. It was on the news, 20-something cops, spike strip, helicopter. I ran across the freeway, got arrested, and that's when I looked into I seen the ocean in the background, and so I'm like, man, this is the game over. time to make a change. And from that day, I looked at the dudes, my co-defendants, and I'm like, dude, I'm done with these dudes. I don't have no time for people with that mentality. This is the wrap. So once I got locked up, I knew I was gonna be gone for a while. I started working on what could I do, from that point on, because I knew that the transition started right then. And so from that time of being at MDC LA and actually leading up to my sentencing, I started looking for stuff like seeking, knowledge and information, reading different books and stuff. And then after I got sentenced to 120 months, I basically just went into a whole nother tangent, and I went to Lompoc USP 2000. Lompoc USP is one of the highest federal prisons outside like Marion and stuff. I mean, if they call it the castle, average dude in there is doing 30 years, 40 years. I mean, really high-powered bank robbers. There's nobody less than a bank robber there. Everybody else is kingpins, dudes who had RICOs, conspiracies, racketeering, embezzlement, just a lot of high-powered dudes, but very intelligent guys who got a lot of time. So I get there and everything's serious, touch a TV, it's a wrap, it's a whole nother program. And so in there, I met a couple mentors. I met an older white guy, ex-Vietnam vet, doing 30 years for making synthetic heroin. And he used to see me studying a law library. And he asked me, he's like, man, what are you doing? What are you doing in there? I said, man, I'm trying to find a way out to get out early. He's like, well, what are you studying? I said, well, I'm trying to find my 2255, my habeas corpus, so I can try to get back. I got a year to do it. So I started working on that. And then he's like, man, come here. And he opened my mind up. He started introducing to me congressional acts and all this legal stuff and just the things about the Federal Reserve. And he blew my mind. I used to stay up for like nights. Like I realized I got duped. I got duped. This bank robbery was a dupe. What society, whatever I was buying into on the streets was a dupe. I got hoodwinked, and I started reading that stuff, and just it really took me on a whole nother path. And then from him, I met another mentor, an older gentleman, a brother from South Central, who taught me more about. He was more like a spiritual guide. Where my white mentor, Harold, he rest in peace, heroin overdose in prison. My other friend, Giles, he taught me more about spirituality. One of the most powerful books he had me read in there was Conversations with God, and it opened my mind up. And through that book, I learned to meditate, and I had out-of-body experience, and it just really awakened me. And so literally less than a year into my sentence, I was like, man, I'm ready to go home. I'm done. I'm ready. I'm already, and the crazy thing about Lompoc was California is very political, black, Mexican. Dude, it's crazy. It's just the racial out there is on a whole nother level. But I grew up in a multiracial environment. Northern California is multiracial. My best friend was Mexican. My other friend was white. Everybody mixes it up, but in California, ain't none of that. So, the cell that I was in was down by like some of the Serranos, but they were cool with me because the way I carried it, and we used to talk a little bit, but you ain't sharing nothing, you ain't doing nothing, but you still respect. And then because of me going to law library and me having been in adult entertainment and guys recognizing me in some of the books they had, I was able to talk to dudes from like DC, dudes from Chicago, dudes from Florida, guys from South Central. They would like, oh, Big Herc, man, he was, oh man, and people. So it kind of allowed me to navigate, because you can't, in the Feds, everybody's from all over the country. California table over here for Crips, the Bloods, Vice Lords, Chicago, Florida boys, Texas boys. You got Virginia, then you got Serranos, North Daniels. You got the Islanders. You got the Whites. You got the Paisas. You got the whatever. It's so many different cliques. So nobody interacts, and I found my way to the neutral table, and so that's where I did my thing. But I worked my program, but I started from there, kind of like taking notes. And I had a journal, and I'd write down stuff, and I was always preparing my mind for getting out. And people used to ask me, man, when you getting out? I said, man, I got a little bit of time. He's like, oh, are you getting out soon? Because the way I kept programmed, I always act like if I got out tomorrow, what would I do? See, a lot of guys don't start preparing themselves into the last year, 2 years. But I always, when people ask me, I would always tell them I'm passing through. What do you mean you're passing through? You're doing time. I'm not doing time. You're doing time. I'm passing through. And they would look at me and look crazy. And it was weird because like I told Travis the other day, there was a brother from Baltimore and he was like, man, what are you always doing in the law library? Because he coming from the yard. He mobbing with these dudes. They carrying shanks and stuff. That's what they every day looking for something to get into. And I'm like, man, I'm studying, man, trying to figure out, ways out of here, working on my case, doing some other stuff. It's a quiet place. It's a safe place. Oh, man, what are you in here for? I said, bank robbery. Oh, you have one of them little notes, huh? I said, nah, man, I have a note. Oh, man, did you have a gun? I said, yeah. He said, oh, man. He said, you did it, right? I said, yeah, man, high-speed chase, got caught, cops, helicopter, everything. He said, man, why don't you do your time, man? I said, man, why don't you do your time? He squared off, and I squared off from him. I'm like, what's happening? And I'm like, damn, this dude, man, I'm going to have to watch him now going to the shower because this dude going to want to shank me because I'm trying to get educated, And then so I said, I got to play Jedi mind tricks on these dudes. So I'm like, okay, I see this dude again. I said, hey, man. He said, what's up? I said, here. I had a little manila envelope. Here's the book in there. He's like, oh man, I'm good looking. I gave him a little sex book. Let him go take that and go relax himself a little bit. After that, he was cool. You know what I mean? So I used the whole diversion. And then from there, if I had a problem with somebody or a lot of dudes, doing a lot of time, they just mad, they're angry, looking at you. And they're like, this dude is doing his thing and they don't like it. So you have to think 5, 6, 7, 10 moves ahead. I see a dude, he's always looking crazy, blah, blah. I look, what's up, man? Because you don't even say what's up to anybody in Long Park unless you know him. And so I see a guy maybe, hey, man, here, you seen a new DuPont? Oh, that's the DuPont. Man, I used to have this car, man. Oh, man. And he's like, oh, good luck. So you got to cater to certain things, and it's learning how to be personable. And it's no different than the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Communication. My communication skills was way above a lot of these dudes because I grew up in such diverse environments. I had been in the hood. I had been in trap houses, dope houses, and I'd also been around people who were millionaires on boats and on private planes. So I knew how to mingle in all different environments. I can talk to a guy over here who looked like a skinhead, but me and him knew some of the same people in maybe Orange County. So I knew how to talk because I used to skateboard and BMX, and I knew a little bit about surf. So I was able to kind of cross a lot of different areas, and that allowed me to grow myself and also get past as a network outside my circle, because a lot of people are stuck and they create this little bubble around them and it limits their ability to go beyond that. And so that was my biggest thing. And like I said, the mental aspect was the biggest part of my transition. And I had a vision board on my wall. I always had the latest books, and people would say, why are you always looking at those architectural digests and those DuPont homes, man? You think you're gonna get out there and get some of that stuff? I was like, yeah, man. Oh man, what you gonna do to do that? I said, why are you worried about it? Do your time, man. You're cool. You watching BET all day, right? And the ESPN, all that. Oh, do your thing. Oh, and the thing is, I'm kind of big dude, and I handle so dudes like, they kind of think twice, but at the same time, because I'm articulating myself and I'm trying to do things, and I'm not your typical, guy walking around here doing the program. And I always said, man, I'm not to be programmed. So when I was able to, like I said, move forward and transition out, my program was still ready for the streets. So I still had all that software, all that information. I was able to transition easier. And Fresh Out, that we started in 2013, I came up that walking on the yard. I'm thinking, I'm seeing these guys, I'm coming in, they're all watching Cops. 3 TVs on Cops. I'm like, this is crazy. These dudes are in prison watching Cops? Wow, my God. I just came from a law library. I'm trying to figure out if there's a loophole, maybe the feds messed up or this and I can get out. I said, imagine if we had all these dudes studying law, how powerful we could be and what information we could find out.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, I got to come up with a show for these dudes, man, because this is crazy. And I said, man, Fresh Out. Okay, Fresh Out, I'm going to do this. And I used to write it down my journal. So I came up with Fresh Out. I wrote a couple novels in there, worked on movie scripts. One of the guys I met in there, he's from LA. He had met another guy in another institution. He had wrote Biker Boys. And so, that inspired me to say, get into Hollywood. Because my thing is, my purpose was greater. I wasn't never a type of guy who settled for average anyways. I never wanted an average car. When everybody else wanted, a regular Cadillac, I wanted a Lotus like James Bond. I wanted to dress like GQ. I wanted to do this. So I got into hustling and crying for monetary, And then one of my favorite movies growing up was Wall Street with Gordon Gekko, So I'm like, man, if I could be this guy, but I never knew anybody on the street who was an investor or stockbroker or owned a business. So I didn't have that. My only point of reflection was street guys, drug dealers, hustlers, gangsters. So that's where all my mishap came into play. But anyways, I always said that I have a bigger purpose. And because I see what a lot of these other guys don't see in here, and they're content with this, I said, I know that this was not for me, and I have to find my path. So as I got out, I just, I put together a lot of my business ideas, started clothing lines. I mean, I've invested and lost a lot of money trying to apps, trying to other things, but then I've made money. I used to buy and sell cars off of Craigslist, and do I started a supplement company. Me and Aunt got a supplement company. All these different things. I focused all this before I even got out to where the key is you're having the mindset and putting yourself around people who think greater than you, people who have a vision. So I always try to be, quote unquote, not the smartest person in the room or the person who is at the highest level economic. I always want to be around people who have more. So what do they do that I can learn from them? And that's the path I took. And it's allowed me to excel in life, man. I mean, I have friends now. All my friends that I mess with are pretty much guys I did time with. My one guy, he did 14 years. He was in prison trading stocks, studied for 14 years, learned from a guy who was a white collar guy who was in there, who taught him, and then he taught us, and we used to study Japanese candlesticks, the Fibonacci, all that stuff. And now my guy Twin, he's teaching classes of people on the street how to trade. He's got 3 monitors, and I see him in pictures. Sometimes he's in Costa Rica, other times he'll be in Puerto Rico, he'll be in Hawaii. He's all over traveling, doing his thing, We've connected here and there, but really built nothing from that, but we still keep in touch. My other friend, he's same thing. He took the stock class with me. He's building, he's doing construction in Corpus Christi, Texas, doing his thing, making money. My other friend has a construction company. They're building houses in paradise. My other guy is doing, everybody I know is pretty much successful. And I stick to guys that I know who are solid, and I avoid a lot of, one thing about prison, they teach you how to read people. And you see a lot of these people on the street, and it's gotten even worse now because everybody's so superficial. Everybody's trying to be the followers, the likes, how many, subscribers you have. And none of what you see is real. This guy with the Lamborghini, the whatever, is most likely leased. He's living in a studio or a house with 4 other guys. They're sharing a car. They're doing these photo shoots. They're renting houses. Dude, it's crazy. You meet these guys, and you're like, dude, this is the same dude. This guy's a straight clown. He said, I made my money doing this, but I sell this and that. And they're selling an illusion, but most people are buying it. And so you can get caught up in that real easy. There's a lot of guys, they pay a celebrity, take a picture. This guy, we made this amount of money. And it's all hustle. So because of social media and what you guys have access to, your hustle can expand all the way to China. From you hustle guys in Italy, Croatia. I mean, those guys are sending you stuff. You're like, this guy maybe, I made $30,000 last week on Amazon. You can do it, buy my program. And he's taking your money. He's hustling. And it's like a lot of it's bullshit. But that's the thing now, is that the game is so much different where literally you can sit at home. You don't have to go to a 9 to 5. You don't have to be worried about being an ex-felon. You don't have to worry about, I'm a 3-time felon. I never let nobody, you're little 22-year-old, you're not going to tell me that I'm fired or I'm late for work. And, I'm like, dude, you're not doing it. I'm not going to put myself in that position because I know who I am. So I never allowed myself to be a victim, and I never allowed myself to feel like I couldn't do something because I know that I was destined for greatness. My mom made me, I have something in me that allowed me to get to where I am now. And the way my mind works, it works at such a high level. I'm like, man, if I could just settle for a Prius, but I can't. I got to have a Bugatti. I got to be able to do this and that, and I've been around people, so I know it's capable. So it's something greater. And when you could tap into that and you don't settle, you don't let yourself, and you realize that there's opportunities, it's just a matter of capitalizing on them. And that's the main thing, man. And because of prison, don't let anybody tell you can't do this, and always be prepared, because I bumped into a couple guys that had life in prison that got out. My one buddy, he had 24 years plus life. And this guy was bigger. He was as big as Freeway Rick, the real Freeway Rick, not Rick Ross, the fake rapper, but the real Freeway Rick. And this guy he actually got busted. He had hooked up, and he was actually laundering money in Switzerland in the banks over there. And they did a legal wiretap in Switzerland, which eventually got overturned after he spent like 3 or 4 million. And so he ended up doing 20-something years and got the life off. And now he's doing his thing. Very successful. Another guy I know, he was a big baller, and he got caught up in conspiracy, and I bumped into him at the gym. I'm like, man, when'd you get out? He's like, oh man, it was crazy. So these guys had a lot, and there's always hope, as long as you hold on to that and you're ready. And when you hit the streets, you got a plan, because most guys hit the streets, no plan. I remember I used to be in the halfway house, and I'm looking at dudes, and they're like, oh, I gotta go to the resource center today. Like, Herc, you going? I said, man, I'm not going down there for nothing. I done called my partner. He's out here in Hollywood. I'm gonna have him set me up a job. I'm doing this. They're like, man, are they hiring? No, they're not hiring right now. Because I barely got in. I can't have you messing up my game. I'm trying to get out this halfway house for 8 hours, 12 hours. So I'm out there doing my thing, and eventually, and the way my mentality was, I'm like, I looked at all these cars. I used to look at the Hemmings. It's like I used to study. I had a subscription. I'm like, send me this, send me that. And I'm like, man, I'm not getting nothing less than a Benz. And I'm like, man, I should have got, it's like in retrospect, somebody would have said, oh, get a Honda. Man, I got an old Benz. He used to smoke, did barely 60 miles an hour. But I had a Benz. But I'm rolling like, yeah, you know what I mean? I parked around the corner doing my thing. But I had standards.
Had that key.
And those standards allowed me to push myself. So I never got complacent. I never was content. It's like I hustled with a sense of urgency. Whatever I did, I used to go to Malibu, go to places I know I was out of my economic bracket, but I'm hanging out, down there on PCH and like, try to meet me a little honey or something down there, bump into somebody network. But, it's being personable. And if you can do that, and a lot of people I've been around multimillionaires at the racetrack, the car shows, and I'm like, man, I didn't know you did time, man. My son watched your show Fresh Out. I'm like, nah, man. You're like, man, you never told me. Why would I tell you? And they're like, oh, man, you're crazy, man. You did a bank robbery. Man, what were you thinking? I said, man, I wasn't. I was like on some different time. So, I've met all these people, and it's crossed a lot of barriers. Me and Ant right now, we done wrote a script that we're working on getting on a network, and it's really close. We got 2 other shows we produced. Then we got another 2 shows we're working on. We're going to turn around and sell them to a network. So, but we built up the momentum, and we stayed true to ourselves. So we're at a point now where 2022, we're going to be cashing out on a lot of opportunities that we worked on, that we built up to, that we're just now seeing the actual the fruits of them. And that's the thing. Everybody thinks they're going to get out. Oh, I'm going to be social media, Joe Rogan. I'm going to be Grant Cardone. I'm going to be, dude, you're not, it takes years.
Yeah, decades.
Decades. I mean, before a tree, you even see the root sprout on a tree, on a redwood, that thing is probably like 6 feet down in the ground, solid. And then it starts sprouting. You're thinking, oh man. And by the time it grows to be, 100 feet, 80, whatever the case, it's been decades, like you said, to build that. But you have to build momentum. And that's the thing I learned, is be patient. Be patient, and really just focus. And if you feel like things aren't going your way, go back and just detach from everything and meditate. And that's what I do. Sometimes I feel like, oh man, this ain't working out. I'll go out in my backyard in the pool. I'll just listen to the birds, think about when I was a kid, how innocent things were. And I'm like, okay, I don't have to worry about all the stuff they're putting on the news, social media, because it's all meant to lower your frequency. It's all meant to keep you, see, we all work off of energy. When you raise your frequency, you attract a different level of vibration with other people. So I raised my frequency in Lompoc, and then I was in Sheridan, then Herlawn, where a lot of these knuckleheads, they couldn't even see me because I wasn't on their frequency. I wasn't, vibrating at a level where they could even feel my presence. So when I walked by them, they didn't even notice me. And that's what you do in society. And that's why society has different areas. That's why you can have South Central, Compton, and those guys that never go past the 105 into Beverly Hills because they know that that's not their frequency. Now they're going over there because it's so crazy and dudes are doing stuff. But typically, people know to not socialize in areas you don't belong. It's the same thing. Once you realize that, you can operate on a level so high where things that you want to manifest, you can manifest them. I used to have pictures on my wall, and I'd have like certain cars. Man, I've owned like probably about 4 or 5 Benz. I've had probably 30, 40 cars since I've been out that I bought and sold and different things and did all this stuff. And it's like, as long as you can continue to manifest and believe, whatever it is you want to become, you can become. And I didn't know the power of that because nobody never taught me that. And mind you, the whole time I was in prison, I got no visits. 8.5 years, no visits. And people, right here and there, and my family, they're very religious, so they didn't come. And it's like, I couldn't hold it against them because I made the choices. But by realizing that, it's like, okay, what kind of person was I on the street? And what do I have to prove when I get out? And so I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to elevate so high, all these people are going to want to be in my presence, and I can pick and choose who I want around me at that point because of who I am. But it's like I had to be true to myself. And that's the biggest thing, is being true to yourself and realizing where it is you want to be in life, and you could be whatever it is, man. I'm telling you, I've run across guys. We interviewed a guy who was a master counterfeiter, and this guy, he knew how to make the $100 bill, $20 bill. He was a beast. Got caught up, ended up doing a bunch of times, finally, learned this lesson. This guy's got a studio, art gallery on Melrose and Fairfax in LA. And this guy, in one weekend sold $500,000 worth of paintings to Arnold Schwarzenegger's charity. This guy's making moves. He's doing over $1 million a year in art. And he was in prison. Tatted up, dude, crazy dude. I mean, dude, we ran across some people who were so successful. Cali Muscle did time in prison, man, got out. Biggest YouTuber out there, 3 million subscribers. All these different people we've crossed paths with, but it's what you want and having a clear vision of it. You got to be clear. You got to tell the universe exactly what it is you want. And if you do that, the universe will open up opportunities for you, and you can basically live. You can basically live the life you really want to live. But you have to be clear on that. And you gotta. The biggest thing I realized, like, I don't have a lot of friends, associates, but not a lot of friends. And so I keep my friend circle really tight. And the people I'm around, I make sure, I'm always making sure they have the same energy flow I have. And outside of that, I put like a force field around myself. And when I'm out, I do my thing. But you got to be able to read people, man. And like I said, we just gotten to a point now when we've gotten opportunities coming to us now where we have problems we didn't have last year. We have problems now where we got to remember about getting an entertainment attorney. We got to worry about, like, okay, if we negotiate this, what do we want from this, and what shows we want to sell, and this and that. So it's shifting, but it takes time. And the fact that we believed, like, me and him didn't even know what we were doing. I said, man, I got a neighbor who shoots. I see him with a camera all the time. You like, hit him up. And then it's like, I said, I'm like, who's going to be our first interview? I said, man, there's a guy at the gym. I think we should hit him up. That one guy, he's like, yeah, the big Cali dude. We hit him up. We found a little park. We made up a little scene, and we filmed it. Went viral. The video got over 1 million something views in like a couple months. Then we started thinking, like, okay, let's start Prison Talk. And we started having people ask questions, and we did thousand some videos of those. And then we got a website, started doing clothing. Then we let's do some supplements. We got Yard Time pre-workout. We got Man in the Can protein. We just started expanding. T-shirts. We've been on, people have picked up our stuff and put it on World Star. We came up with Wig Splitter, the logo, the idea of the Wig Splitter workout. And we just kept building. But it's like we weren't really taking that out. We just kept building, and now it's getting to the point where it's having fruits. You can see it's becoming succulent, and things are happening. But we had a vision, and we just kept pushing it. And we didn't let it die. And that's the thing. A lot of people are right there on the cusp of something big, and they give up. And they're like, man, throw in a towel. And you can't throw in a towel, man. You got to always feel that, hey, man, it's possible. Because when you meet these people, and you're like, what's separating them from me? Mm-hmm. What makes that person better than why they got and I don't? And you're not competing against them, but you got to reflect like, man, if this person was able to accomplish this,
anything's possible.
Anything's possible. You're no different. It doesn't, you don't, if you weren't blessed with a silver spoon, I mean, you can still make things happen. Yeah. And like I said, I've been around some crazy people. Christian von Koenigsegg, I went on a rally to Monterey, and I'm around people who are billionaires. I mean, and I don't care. People are like, oh, man, look, I don't care if they're bougie. I'm here to get, this is going to normalize things. Because see what it is, you normalize your environment. People normalize it and they want to come back here. They get out, freak out. Oh man, they don't want to take care of their kid, their baby mama, this and that. So they piss a dirty, go back, and this is normal again. I'm sitting here watching TV, no responsibilities. Call their girl on the phone for 15 minutes and think they did something. Man, normalizing this it becomes your world. So if I want to normalize something else, it's like they say in the universe. Go somewhere, see something, make that your normal. Nice house, walk through there. This is normal. You got to visualize, and your brain programs that so things that are in that world become attracted to you, and those opportunities make things like that normal. And that's how you change your paradigm. You got to shift your paradigm. If you're normal to walk around with a pistol all day, you got to change that to walking around with your Rolex maybe, or walking around over here talking, investment or whatever the case may be. But you got to change that perspective. And once you can reprogram your mind, one of the biggest things I did in prison, I forgot to mention, was when I learned how to meditate, I regressed. And I broke down everything, because a lot of this shit they told us in school is bullshit. History, lies, bullshit. And because you read a lot of books in here, but I went down and I broke myself down to a straight chassis. No wheels, no brake lines, no mufflers, nothing. And I built my chassis up from scratch. And I use the analogy for cars because I'm a big car guy. And then I said, okay, what kind of motor do I want? Supercharged, twin turbo. Booyah. What kind of tranny do I want? Okay, what kind of brakes do I want? Big brake kit, blah, blah, blah. What kind of wheels? Okay, what kind of exhaust? What kind of fuel system? And I started adding information to where a lot of the things I had been pre-programmed for, I deprogrammed and reprogrammed myself. Most people don't even know who they are. Yeah. They're living somebody else's basically perception of who they want them to be. That's not you, because who are you? You haven't even taken the time to figure out who you are. So the choices you made were choices somebody else told you that you took on, but after you sit here for a little while, you're like, man, that wasn't even me. And that was the biggest, so I had to go back, who am I really? What do I believe in? What makes me feel comfortable? I don't have to believe in this because everybody else does, or they go and do this every day. That's not what I want to do, so what do I want to do? And once you figure that out, and you start building your car, and you'll have something you can run on NASCAR. That thing will be high performance, do whatever you want to do with it, but it's unique. You're not part of the herd. You're not following it. You can do your own program, which is going to allow you to shoot off, because you have 85 to 95% of the people in this country making less than 150,000, barely making it. And then probably when you go, probably 50% are making barely 50,000. And then you got 15% making probably $500,000. Then you got probably 5% making $2 million or more. And dude, when you look at the gap, the system's made for all these people to basically stay down here while these people enjoy all the fruits. These people are balling. There's guys right now, Richard Milley, $250,000, dudes traveling, doing this. And I'm not saying everything's based on material, but what money is opportunity. What money is freedom. You can't do nothing if you're broke. You can't even go to the hospital. You got money, you can get health insurance, life insurance, you could travel, you could do things. So it's freedom. So you have to look, it's all ties into, like I said, good energy, creating a vision, having long-term goals. These are all the things I set up early on when I was in prison that allowed me to get to where I am now.
Man, gold. Thank you.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much. Gentlemen, what questions do we have for Herc?
My name is Jerry. I just want to say thank you for coming in. It's an inspirational speech. I have a past a lot like yours. I'm doing a 30 life and a nickel. I graduated from the federal system too. A lot different than this here.
Yeah.
But a lot different. A lot of things you said I could relate to. I've been outside the walls a while, Pop. I never made it inside, but I've seen those 40 foot.
Oh my gosh.
When I was on the chain, going up to Sheridan.
Yeah, I was in Sheridan too. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was in Sheridan.
Yeah.
And I was on the East Coast. And
Okay.
I got Cumberland.
Okay.
And, but anyway, I came back here, went to court. After a few years, I come down in the system here, and I was over at Max. And within 6 months, I was programming. Even though I had all this time left, I started taking IDOC programs. I want to get out. You know, like I say, I'm coming up now in 4 years. I see the parole board. I've got a pretty good shot at getting out. I secured an attorney. I already paid him. You know, I made some money since I've been in here. Right now, I'm working on a business plan for an LLC for passive income for real estate investment. I'm working on another LLC business plan for a property management corp. And then I've got a couple other things I'll see if I can put in the works just before I get out. I've got a woman, we'll get married as soon as I get out. She's forming a nonprofit here in the next couple of months. And she's gonna start doing some real estate investing herself. With some LLCs, and we're gonna combine forces when I get out. And like I told her, I said it'd be nice to at least have 10, 20 million in assets before we're too old to work. And I was a biker when I was out there, but I was a businessman also. I had a wholesale retail business, mail order, walk-in, and I had 2 construction companies. So I rubbed elbows with multi-millionaires through business and through personal friendships. And I was always comfortable. You know, I was a chameleon wherever I went.
That's
I
right.
could fit in with these different types of people. So, like you, I don't know how I ended up where I did. Maybe I had low thinking, but I don't want to live like that. I don't want to get out and come back in a month. I don't want to get shut down in the streets by the law or other outlaws. I'm done. And the closer I get to getting out, the more opportunities I'm seeing. You know, more opportunities there are for me, but the more my eyes are opened up. And I've got a lot of peers in here in business classes and other down here in education. I work here, so I have a lot more opportunities, and I'm latching on to every single thing I can. You know, I want to get out. I want to be the person that I was when I was a little kid. I don't want to be the one I turned into when I was 16 years old.
That's right.
So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
And you know, that's you're on the right track, man. And like I said, everybody I knew that were studying real estate when they were in prison, all these guys now they're balling. They're all doing well. And you know, the fact that you had that exposure before you were locked up, and like you said, being a chameleonaire, you know, you can walk anywhere. Like, you know, I have fresh out stickers and big Herc stickers I put on my cars, and I've been in traffic and law enforcement. Dude pulled up next to me in a Charger. Roll your window down. I'm like, damn, who's this? Big Herc, what's up, man? I'm like, what's up? He's like, man, I F with your channel, and I'm a po-po. He showed his badge. He was undercover. I'm like, dude, I've got, and it's like, there was a time when I was leaving my house, I got a Chevelle, 72 Chevelle, that's all muscled out. A cop pulled up behind me, turned his lights on. I'm like, man, what the hell is I'm going to the gym. Oh man, I want to stop you, man. I got a 69 Camaro. What kind of motor you got in here? Dude, I'm like, so literally like the energy changes. I'm meeting all kind of people. I've had dudes in traffic, law enforcement. Man, you know, I love your car, cool stuff. Hey man, your tail light, fix your tail light. Thank you, man. It changes. Yeah. And it's like, you know, when you put good energy out there and you elevate your vibrational level, I mean, it changes the scope of everything. One of my other friends I met at Sheridan, president of the Orange County chapter of Hells Angels. Now he's been on Sons of Anarchy. You know, I met, you know, I know another guy, Mongo, another guy, but they're cool with me because how I carry myself. So when you can do that, you can go anywhere. I can go from hanging out with these guys over here at a biker rally and be cool, and then go over here to kick it with some guys from Compton, or go over here to Newport Beach and kick it with some guys. It's like you got to be able to adapt. And you don't want people to be able to say, oh, that guy's, he's been to prison. You want to be able to blend in, and maybe they might question, but at the same time, when you can articulate and do things, I've had meetings with executives for networks where they talk to us and they're like, man, the way you, I would have never thought a guy that talks like you did a bank rob. I thought you were a credit card. I mean, I'm like, so what are you saying? I should be, you know, more of a street dude, and it would be more relatable to the topic at hand, you know? And it's like little stuff, man, but I know I'm above them, so I just kind of laugh it off. But you're going to run into, you know, scenarios like that. But it's just amazing, man. And the more we put the energy out there,
Yeah.
and the more we focus on it, I'm always telling Energy, Anthony, it's like, man, I'm every day, like I ride my bike now, I'm in Arizona, I ride my bike and I go and look at the horses, the goats, and ride around the neighborhood, I meditate, look around, and I'm always putting energy out there for the script, you know, and selling a script in Hollywood is hard. It's like, man, trying to get a show, it's like, dude, it's like the 1%. It's like trying to make it to the NFL. But once you get a show on, I mean, dude, you're talking about you can make money for the next 20, 30, it's mailbox money. And so I'm like putting it out there and now things are starting to fall in place, but you have to believe when other people don't believe. And if somebody is saying things contrary, like I knew a guy, he said, oh man, what makes you think you're gonna sell your, you know how many people went to Hollywood? I said, I'm not like them. He said, what makes you different? Because I'm me. Oh man, but so if it doesn't work with you, I said, dude, I don't know about it doesn't work. See, that's your mentality. That's why you're sitting here and you're a hater.
Yep.
Because you're already saying if it doesn't work.
Correct.
It's, it's me and you are not in the same category. I
We're
don't have
not
if
the
it
same.
doesn't work. See, what I did to go to prison, I went hard and paid. You never went hard. Look at you. You're blowed out. You know what I mean? So my mentality is all or nothing, and I keep going. And as long as I can stay healthy, man, I can keep making things happen. You know, I'm not bedridden. I'm healthy. I take care of myself. God, God bless, and I make things happen. So as long as you have that and you can keep going, opportunities are always there.
Yeah.
The potential is always there if you're cognizant. And you just got to be, like I said, you just got to be aware of your surroundings and keep putting out that good energy.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a question. So my situation is I'm doing life now. So everything I think is filtered on what can I do here? Because I don't spend a lot of time on something that just the possibility of just really super small. So, but I'm trying to build something home here, and this is what I'm doing. So if you can picture yourself in that same kind of environment, but you had to achieve your success inside. And I'm trying to get past the point, or beyond the point, to the level of, I work everything through a family member who has my power of attorney, but I want to get it to where I'm not just completely dependent on them, to get to that other level to where it's not that. There's a real business going on, there's real things happening going on.
I would say the main thing in your situation is keeping that trust factor that somebody that you can count on that's going to have your best interest because of just your ability to check and balance. I've known people. It's a lot of guys in the feds, man. They had a bunch of money. They had an account. They cleaned it out. You know what I mean? Because they don't have the same mindset as the person who's the brains. So maybe having a backup to where you have somebody else who kind of maybe balances out that, so it's not just one individual who has control over everything, and then that way you can maybe create more of a stability there, so that if something doesn't go here, this person can kind of keep the weight up for whatever you got going on. Because that's when I was inside, when I published my first book, and I was sending money to the streets and having somebody help us, and then trying to coordinate book covers and then the editing and all this stuff, I had to trust that person. Now that person did right initially by me, and when I got out, but my other friend who actually introduced me to her, when he was in, she ended up stealing, cleaning his account out, and he had saved up all this money while he was in prison, and she kind of just, fell off, but she never told me she burnt them.
Yeah.
And this was my dude. He did like 12 years, and I did, we were cellies and stuff. So that's the hardest thing, is making sure, people keep their integrity. Yeah. Because it's like, you can't really, if they don't answer the phone, what can you do?
Nothing.
So that's the hardest part I find about that type of situation, where I gave a guy a car when I was in prison. The guy paid me a car to help him with his legal work. And so I helped this guy out. And I'm like, dude, I don't want the car to go to waste, because my family always thought I was doing, I don't want to touch it. So I'm like, hey man, you're getting out, man. I get you a car, El Camino on some Dayton's, man. Just pick it up. The guy gave it to me, blah, blah, blah. He got the car and it's tore it up. And then I seen the guy when I got out, he was on pills. He was all tweaked out. I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, he brought nothing to the table. This guy got out, went right back to his old ways, and he might be locked up right now, because last I heard, he just ran into a building. He was just high, he was doing stupid stuff. So that's the thing, is finding people that you can really say, like, man, okay, I can trust this guy. Like, I know this dude, I mean, I ain't got to worry about him. but we keep our circle tight. There's maybe one or two other people we could even, consider to have that. And that's why our brand, we it's hard to find because a lot of people try to come in and steal your stuff, steal your ideas, do this, do that. I mean, you can't trust them. Everybody's like, so finding that trust factor, I realized was the hardest thing moving forward to build a bigger brand. Like, my wife, like you say, your wife, but when you start getting down the road, it's like, who is this person for real? And that's the thing you got to be conscious of.
Well, it's interesting to your point. What I've found, you probably know this as well, Ann, is like, how many people can you count on to make your mortgage payment next month?
I think in addition to what he said, actually you created another opportunity just in the predicament that you're in, right? Like, who's to say that a company can't be created that handles things for guys that are locked up? Because then now that eliminates the trust issue, right? Because you got paperwork between you and that company who's essentially taking over your power of attorney to then execute the things that you want done
To get it, yeah.
under your name, right? And any kind of problem was to arise, well, now you have paperwork to show that these guys were supposed to be listed. And you have course of legal action at that point. Or they, obviously, hopefully you don't want that to be the case, but then they're handling your things for you, your affairs, and you don't have to worry about putting the burden on a family member or whatnot. So that could be a solution to the problem you have. Is create a company that handles that stuff for everybody that's locked up,
But you're kind of hitting on the catch-22 is how do you create a business without family members?
What you can do, maybe get a trust.
Buying into the dream. Does that make sense?
right.
Get a
To
trust.
see the same vision of what I got going on, where I'd like to go, how do I get that kind of buy-in from the people that I have right now? Can I need them to give me that?
Well, you gotta what you can do is which we all know, like prison pen pal or finding somebody that maybe is outside your immediate circle who you're starting fresh with, but you're still trying to create that with. Because we interviewed a female. She's a wife of a lifer, and she helped a guy out, and she's fighting to get him out of prison. She flew all the way to Arizona to do an interview with us, and she set up a nonprofit. She's producing these artists and doing stuff to raise money, and she's doing all kind of stuff to help this guy that she met in prison, and basically get him out. And she's building businesses with him while he's in there. So sometimes you got to try to find people outside, because like my family, I can count on them to do nothing. I didn't even see my family for a year and a half after I got out, because everybody's like, oh my God, this guy, he's crazy. And then when I did see some of them, they were hating on me. Oh, where'd you steal that from? Oh, where'd you get that from? I'm like, dude, you know what I mean? I work hard, I bust ass. You drink beer every day, So it's finding people who maybe are kind of disconnected that you connect with, that's fresh, that give you a fresh chance. And then have, say, hey man, can you set up this trust or set this up or do this or do that? And then build with them and create new opportunities. Because sometimes old people, I find like really, I have more, in common hanging out with Anthony than I do with my own family. I just be cordial holidays. Hey, how you doing? But I don't like pretending, because you want me to be a certain way, and that's not who I am. And that was the problem to begin with. I was trying to be something I wasn't. So as who I am, I want to be around people I can be normal with, and that allows me to shine and create more opportunity.
So I'll answer your question because I know you personally. I've gotten to know you. And this is what I want you to do. For me right now, where I see you, you've established a company. Correct? No. Rewire it. Every day you're doing stuff. You're trading funds. You have habits that you engage with every day in order to make money. That's a company. You could say it's an LLC, an LLP, a joint venture agreement. I'm not worried about the semantics. I'm talking about what you're doing every day. You're already doing it, okay? And Anthony and Herc will tell you, 99% of the guys we talk to are not even doing it. They're talking about doing it, okay? So this is what you're doing every day. I want you to write that down on paper. Here's what I'm doing every day. Here's my habits. Here's my routine. Here's what I'm doing. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to create a job application. I was in Chicago this week, anyways, recently, with a gentleman who wrote over 100 letters to CEOs while he was doing his Fed time. In my opinion, you're looking for a partner. There's no reason in the world that you are not writing to every guy who has a hedge fund on Wall Street saying, here's my story, here's my habits, here's where I started, and here's where I want to go. I'm looking for a CEO of this company to help me take it to where I want to go. There's no reason in the world. There are no limits. There are no
Remember
limits.
the guy from San Quentin who's doing that? Remember the stock guy?
You're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
The brother, remember?
Wall Street,
we call Wall Street?
Curtis Carroll.
Yeah. Curtis Carroll is doing it big, man.
So one of the things that I always hear from you, Barry, is I hear a sense of limiting beliefs. And I'm here to tell you that you're bigger than the story you're telling yourself in your mind. Put that story on paper, send it out to every CEO. I will, Jack will, I know Jack will do this. I'll get you every email on the planet that I have access to, every letter on the planet, every address to every fund manager. It's all public record. And I want you to write to them and tell them your story. You're an inmate sitting on 6 figures. You're an inmate sitting on incredible potential. That's the story that we need to write.
And your level of discipline and what you've accomplished, people on the street don't have that.
Thank you.
These dudes just run around partying, they're at these bars, and they come and they do a few trades. They're not even on it like that.
No.
Because there's so many distractions. It's even worse. I mean, the distractions now are crazy.
If you want to put your photos in there of all the charts that you have, I know Jack will take them and send them to me. We'll put a whole package together. We'll literally put a whole package together. I'll pay for the stamps. This is on camera. I will. I'll pay for all of it. And we'll make this happen. Like, we'll send out 100 letters a year to these guys and tell your story. There's no reason in the world other than the story that's between your ears right now why this won't happen. And my goal is to make sure you change that story.